professional, Dave.
Lou, can I ask you to please put out your cigarette?
No, I like to smoke one.
Oh, it's nothing but professionalism here. This is Tennis New York Giants Straight Talk, powered by my Big Blue LLC. Want to talk about, what do we want to talk about today? We want to talk about the salary cap. We want to talk about Hard Knocks. We want to talk about the Lane Kiffin quarterback. Hard Knocks. The Giants are back on Hard Knocks. They're doing good. They're going to do the in-season Hard Knocks, the divisional thing with the Eagles, the Cowboys, and the Commanders. You got some people in Giant Nation that are just like, oh my God, why would the Giants want to do this again? Why? What is that thought process that it went so poorly last time that why would they agree to do this again? Why didn't they just say no? Well, there's new eligibility rules for Hard Knocks, which started this year. And the NFL, using our crack staff at Believe, we have all this information now. Actually, we didn't. I actually just Googled it. The NFL changed the eligibility rules that teams do not have their first-year head coach and haven't been on Hard Knocks in the past 8 seasons are now subject to filming. Additionally, teams that appear on the in-season version of Hard Knocks featuring a full division are also ineligible for the training camp version or to decline. The previous NFL rules allowed teams to decline Hard Knocks if they made the playoffs in the previous 2 seasons. This option is no longer available. The exemptions now are teams are now exempt from Hard Knocks if they have a first-year head coach, as we mentioned before, or have appeared on the training camp version in the past 8 seasons, or are featured on the in-season version focusing on division participation. So the Giants did that weird off-season thing, that weird path to almost like a path to the draft. So there's no way for the Giants to decline Hard Knocks. So they have to go on. Because I saw some people on Twitter like, well, is Joe Schoen a masochist? Is he trying to get his own reality TV series? No, he's actually being forced to do it, which is fine. I mean, I don't believe that forced participation in anything is good in anything in life. I always think you should have the option to opt out if you do not agree with something. And evidently the Giants, after that fiasco last year, if I was them, I would opt out. I would opt out. Quick and easy. But it's just the way it is, and the Giants have to do it. So we have to hope that they have more. And what scares me about the Hard Knocks is teams usually have some creative control. And evidently the Giants had creative control out of what was shown. And if this was the best stuff that they could show that put them in the best light, great balls of fire. We got some problems here. But you know what? It'll be nice to see them in this thing. It'll be nice to get a little bit of insight to Philadelphia, Dallas, and Washington. So it'll be, like I said, I'm going to tell you this right now. The first 4 weeks of this NFL season for the New York Giants, even for the Cowboys and Commanders, is must-watch TV. Because, like I said, the Giants have Washington, Dallas, and then come into the Chiefs, and then have the LA Chargers. I'm always going to call them the San Diego Superchargers, but so it is what it is. So, it'll be fun to watch. It's interesting to see what the Giants are going to do and kind of get an behind the scenes perspective if we start 0-4. The question is, do the Giants try to quit Hard Knocks after week 5? We got to kind of figure that out. Right now, we're taking a look at the salary cap issues. The Giants have about $1.6 million in salary cap, which is the lowest in the league according to the NFLPA. We're not going to have to worry about that yet because of the rule of 51, but the Giants are going to have to create some additional cap space coming up because of the fact that you have some cap hits coming up. The final 3 picks of the draft for the Giants, they've all signed, but the Giants are going to need cap space when they start signing their top picks. You're going to look at Abdul Carter, whose contract is going to be about $8 million, probably $8.2 million. And Jackson Dart, who we took 25th in the first, is going to be, I think, $3 million at this point in time. So you're going to have to clear, immediately $11 million cap space because those contracts are guaranteed. The other rookie contracts after the third rounder for portions of the contracts. Most of these contracts aren't guaranteed, but these contracts, of course, are first round picks. They are guaranteed. We're gonna have to move. We're gonna have to move some things around. We're gonna have to figure some out. You have some people that you can restructure. Andrew Thomas comes to mind right away. Yes, I know we restructured Andrew Thomas last year, but I believe the Andrew Thomas restructure, I think we only moved 4.4 million down the 4.7 down the road. So that's fine. And the guaranteed money in Thomas contract, of course, is going to expire in 2026. So he, to me, would be a candidate, especially with the injuries and the fact that he's only 26 years old. They're saying that the max restructure for the Thomas contract would create about $12 million in cap space. Now, Shane has not been adding any voidable years to these deals, so that's going to be interesting as well. So let's see. You also figure Dexter Lawrence. There's potential to restructure there. Do you want to restructure? Do you really want to restructure Brian Burns' deal? Because there's a cap hit. Brian Burns' cap hit. I think his cap hit right now this year is like almost $30 million. If you push out some bonus and pay some upfront money and move some money out through the final 3 years of your deal, you probably come up with about $15 million in cap space. So there's ways to get around this, but it's going to be these large albatross contracts that Joe Shane used to give out like candy. We've talked about not staggering the Dexter Lawrence or the Andrew Thomas contract, and then dropping another $120 million on Brian Burns and dropping another $160 million, of course, which we're still paying for vis-a-vis the dead cap space with Daniel Jones. So, that's going to give the Giants some breathing room, but the problem is this: you're going to have to take a look at this roster within its totality. If you take a look at the Lawrence contract. If you do a max on the Lawrence deal, you could probably create about $8 million in cap space. But then you're going to increase you're going to increase his cap hit in 2026 and 2027. So there's an option there. Unless you're planning on getting rid of Dexter Lawrence, which I don't think you're not going to end up doing so, but you're going to have to move some of this money around. You could also you can also get rid of Graham Gano. That would be an option too. Gano is signed through 2026. And I guess you would get about $3 million in cap savings there with like $2 million dead cap number. It's a possibility because, like I said, he has been oft injured and he is 38 years old. You can get rid of the Nacho Man, which would clear up about another $4 million. No, not $4 million, but 3.8. With only about 1.4 in dead cap signing. And that seems like you've signed some guys. You brought in Darius Alexander. What you got Robertson Harris you brought in. So like the Nachos to me sound like that would be a logical point. And I didn't even know this. I keep forgetting Nacho's like he's going to be 32 this year. And he's in the final year of his deal. So, if it's me, if I want to get rid of someone, I would probably get rid of Cordell Flott and Dane Bellinger. Kind of move on from a couple of those guys, especially Cordell Flott. I don't understand how Nick McLeod is still on this team, but that's all right. That's all right. But to me, Nick McLeod getting out of there would be fine. But you're gonna have to move. Joe is gonna have to move some money around. He's gonna have to find some additional cap space here and there just to sign his two big first-round draft choices. Speaking of first-round draft choices, I keep seeing all this stuff about Jackson Dart. And it's nice to see after 3 years of low-fat vanilla, 3 years, try 5.5 years. I don't know where I got 3 years. Try 5.5 years of low-fat vanilla. It's nice to get some vanilla. Because I keep hearing about Jackson. I keep seeing stuff on Twitter about Jackson Dart's aura. Oh, he's got this aura. This aura do you just want in a quarterback? Oh, yes. And I keep saying the same thing. Aura does not win games. Having the ability to matriculate the ball down the field and get wins, that wins games. That's it. That wins game. So you can have all the aura you want. There's plenty of quarterbacks that had aura on the off field. They just didn't play well when they got on the field. And I keep hearkening back to this, and I'm trying not to, because you're going to give the kid all the credit in the world. But anytime I see a Lane Kiffin quarterback, I get concerned. Because if you go through the wreckage of the Lane Kiffin college quarterbacks that went into the NFL, the sample size is pretty big. But the problem is this: the success factor has not been. Because we have said this a million times on this show. Lane Kiffin's job, and his one job in college, is to cultivate college quarterbacks to win games. That's his sole responsibility at any of the stops that he's been at, and he's been at numerous stops. So if you take a look at the type of quarterbacks that have shown success with Lane Kiffin in college, that has not translated well into the pros. Now, you got to remember, Kiffin did a brief stint over in Tennessee. He had Josh Dobbs. Now, Josh Dobbs, the starting astronaut quarterback. You know, he had a nice run for about 4 games before he got exposed after being in the league for years and finally got an opportunity to start. But he's a guy that Kiffin went to, when he was at, he tabbed as his quarterback. You also got to take a look at USC. Max, his starting quarterbacks at USC was Matt Barkley and David, and what's his name? But I mean, look at Matt Barkley's success in the NFL. There was none. He had all this hype and all this aura around him. Matt Barkley did. But when they got him into the pros, they figured out that he was a one-read, half-the-field quarterback that didn't succeed. And that's the problem with Lane Kiffin. That's what Lane Kiffin does with his QBs. Going back even to what's his name? You had David Gaze over at FAU. Again, a guy with no success. Then he rolls over to Ole Miss, You have Matt Corral. Old Matt. Everyone loved Matt. I hated Matt coming out of college because he reminded me too much of more of a slight Daniel Jones, and he looked like a one-read quarterback. Because that's what Lane Kiffin does. That's his job. He makes this offense that is simplistic enough that gives you the ability to really go out there and do something special. Because he even had the likes of Cody Kessler over at USC. But that does not translate to success in the NFL. We've talked about this before. The Jackson Dart must have interviewed like a mother because of the fact that you look at the scouting reports that occurred a week after the season. We've read through them. They all say the same thing. He is a one-read, half-the-field quarterback. That's what they played the majority of the times at Ole Miss. And there's been massive concerns that he is going to have the ability to scan the entire NFL field and go through his reads and his progressions. That was a main concern from like 12 different scouting reports that I found. Same thing. He's a one-read quarterback because that's what they run at Ole Miss. He's not allowed to audible. He's supposed to either throw the read or throw to a spot or run. And that's it. And Jackson Dart isn't. What's funny? They keep saying, "Well, Jackson Dart's this dual threat quarterback." Daniel Jones is more of a dual threat quarterback than Jackson Dart is. Let's just be honest. So the quality of quarterbacks that Lane Kiffin has put out. I mean, yeah, he also had Chris Robinson over at Florida Atlantic and Jason Driscoll. These are all household names. Does anyone remember the great Austin Simmons out of Ole Miss? You got to think. I feel bad for Matt Corral. I'm sorry. I don't know why I want to call him Carroll because he plays like Carroll Brady. No, but I feel bad for Matt Corral because he was throwing at the combine. He was one of the quarterbacks they brought in to throw during the wide receiver, tight end, and running back drills, and they allowed him to get mixed in with the other quarterbacks, during the throwing sessions, and that was his thing, so he could show off his arm and show off that he deserves a second chance in the NFL. I mean, everyone loved Matt Corral coming out. Giant fans loved him. Giant fans were drooling over him. But he's a Lane Kiffin quarterback. And that, I'm not saying Jackson Dart is going to fail. I'm just saying that if you are a Lane Kiffin quarterback, you are taught your entire year in school that you are going to be a half the field quarterback. You're going to be given a read, and you're going to be, and that's, or you're told to throw to a spot, and you're not allowed to audible. That's it. And that's how Lane Kiffin wins in college. That's how he won at Florida Atlantic. That's how he's won at Ole Miss. That's just what he does. And at times you figure he does this to the detriment of the quarterbacks that he has, because he is not progressing them into the NFL. But I've said this a million times before. It's not Lane Kiffin's job to build NFL quarterbacks. It is Lane Kiffin's job to win win for his college team. So and I keep saying this, let's slide the brakes a little bit on Jackson Dart and the aura and how he is going to be the starter of the season, because he hasn't even taken a snap in training camp. He hasn't technically gone full 7-on-7 with the starters. He's done none of this. And we have to wait and see. And I'm not saying he doesn't have the ability, but we have to wait and see if he has the ability to do a full field read in the NFL. Because like I said, go back and listen and watch and read his scouting reports. They all say the same thing. And I don't understand this Herculean jump, this Mike Mamula jump into the 25th pick. Because I've said it once before, just because and people can debate this all they want, but if he would have came out last year, he probably would have gone anywhere between the 6th or 7th round. Which is why he stayed in college. But we don't want to talk about that. We only want to talk about good things, because we're going to have a live stream. We're going to do some evening live streams. We're going to stop doing the live streams all the time in the afternoon. People have requested some evening live streams, so make sure you stay tuned for that. And as always, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to ring that bell, because you want to know why. That'll be awesome.